communication technology industry. As recommended by the Commission, the head of each government agency or instrumentally shall be responsible for complying with the security requirement mentioned by each mentioned herein, while the Commission shall monitor the compliance, may be recommended to necessary action in order to satisfy the minimum standard. So, yun. Section 23. Section 23. So, Section 23 is related to access by agency personnel to sensitive personal information. So, the next slide is explain ko dun. But let's first, Section 24. So, applicability to government contractors if entering into any contract that may involve accessing or requiring sensitive personal information from 1,000 or more individuals. An agency shall be required the contractor and its employee to register their personal information processing with the Commission according to this Act and do comply with the other provision of this Act, including the immediately preceding section, in the same manner as the government employees comply with such requirements. So, ito yung need ko explain sa section 23, which is meron tayong on-site and off-site access. So, on-site or on online access, except as may be allowed through guidelines to be issued by the Commission. So, no employee of the government shall be access to sensitive personal information of the government property or through online facilities unless the employee has received a secured clearance from the head of the source agency. Yun yung sa online or on-site. And the off-site access naman, unless otherwise provided in the guidelines to be issued by the Commission, personal information maintained by the agency may not be transported or accessed from a location of government property unless a request for such transportation or access is submitted and approved by the head of agency in accordance with the following guidelines. So nandun tayo sa last part, which is yung the penalties. So, Section 25. Unauthorized processing of personal information and sensitive personal information. So, sa unauthorized, so, may imprisonment tayo na 1 to 2 years. So, meron tayong fine ranging from 500,000 to 2 million. Applies when personal information is processed without consent or authorization. So, kung di man lang nagpaalam para mag-access yung, meron tayong fine or yung bayad or fine. So, dito naman is kapag nakulong siya ng 3 to 6 years, meron siyang fine na ranging from 500,000 to 4 million. When sensitive information is processed without consent or authorization. So, dito naman is a sensitive personal information is hindi nagpaalam. Unlike sa kanina na personal information yun. So, next is under section 26. Accessing of personal information and sensitive personal due to negligence. So upon accessing naman is 1, 2, 3. So, sa ano naman is upon accessing, meron tayong imprisonment na 1 to 3 years, 500k to 2 million when applies when access the person is without proper authorization. Halos same lang din sila kanina. And dito naman is nag-iiba lang sila, depends on the years na makukulong sila. Excuse. Dito naman is pag-iiba, depends on how long sila makukulong. Next, is the improper disposal of personal information and sensitive personal information. So 6 months to 2 years, no fine sila ng 100k to 500k applies when personal information is knowingly or negligently disposed of in the public areas or placed in containers for trash collection. So parang kapag yung isang information is iano natin sa public, so ito yung fine niya. So parang let's say dinikit-dikit natin sa any public areas, no, ito yung magiging fine niya, 100 to 500k. Next naman is same lang din sila with kakaiba lang kung how long sila makukulong. So dito naman is 100 to 1 million for 1 to 3 years. So next, under section 28 is the processing of personal information and sensitive personal information for unauthorized purposes. So when personal information is processed without authorization purpose that not specified by the data subject or unauthorized by the law. So parang process natin yung personal information without having a consent or authorized under the law, pwede tayong makulong ng 1 year and 6 months to 5 years, and meron tayong multa na 500 to 1 million. And pag 2 to 7 years naman is ranging from 500k to 2 million. Yes. Next. So ito, very familiar, intentional breach, unauthorized access, or intentional breach. So applies knowingly unlawfully accessing or breaching data, confidentiality, and security systems. So makakulong tayo ng 1 to 3 years, 500 to 2 million. Under the section 30 naman is the concealment of security breaches involving sensitive personal information, imprisonment, and 6 months to 5 years. 500 to 1 million when concealing security breaches involving sensitive personal information after knowledge of the breach and obligation to notify the commission. So section 31, or the malicious disclosure, applies to disclosing false information related to person with malice or bad faith. So kung parang may mali tayong intention ba, or mali yung mga impormasyon na relative to the personal information, so pwede tayong makulong ng 1 to 5 years, from 500k to 1 million ang fine. And next is the section 32, unauthorized disclosure, imprisonment to 1 to 5 years, 1 year to 5 years, from 500 to 2 million when disclosing personal information or sensitive personal information to a third party without the data subject's consent. Ginamit natin ang kanyang information to a third party without the data subject consent. So next is the combination of series of acts. So if maraming marami na kaso ba, hindi lang siya one case. So pag marami na, nakalagay dito is the combination of series of active fines from section 25 to 32. So kapag from section 25 is na niya, pero siyang makulong ng 3 to 6 years, ranging is fine from 1M to 5M. And next is the extent of liability. Penalties imposed responsible officers if the offender and the corporation or juridical person. Deportation for offenders, perpetual or temporary absolute disqualification from office for public official or employees found guilty of certain acts. So next is section 35, large scale. The maximum penalty in the scale of penalties respectively provided for the preceding offenses shall be imposed when the personal information of at least 100 persons is shall harm, affected, or involved as the result of the public mentioned actions. So section 36, offense committed by the public officer. Kapag may offense na gawa isang public officer, when the offender of the person responsible for the offense in public officer such as defined as the Administrative Code of the Philippines is exercise of his or her duties. Accessory penalty consisting in the disqualification to occupy public office for a term double the term of criminal imposed shall be applied. Under Section 37, restitution for any aggrieved party shall be governed by the provisions of the new Civil Code.